I'm back with another video. I've recently been tagged to do a video called a Doctor Who tag by Chris, aka Greybomb, from the channel Eurobloggers. So I have to answer 8 questions about Doctor Who, and then I've got to tag someone else to keep it going. So my first question is, favourite Doctor? Now, there is no contest here. My favourite Doctor is Tom Baker. Well, as you all know, he brought on the iconic stripy scarf and the jelly babies. He is my favourite because sometimes he is so serious, but my favourite bits are when he's all comical, you know, and so funny, and he can just bring out these one-liners even in serious situations. I was always laughing at him, and that's why he's my favourite. He like cheers me up, you know. So that's my favourite Doctor. 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. Second question, my favourite story. Now, I don't have an absolute favourite throughout the whole show because it's so hard to choose. So I have several favourite stories. Like, just to name a few, Enlightenment, Greatest Show in the Galaxy, Attack of the Cybermen, and just like dotted around everywhere, you know. There's not any particular story, 'cause I can't decide between them, you know. I can't do that. So yeah, I'll post my favourite stories probably in another video or a post or something, because it'll probably take too long to list them all. Next question, my favourite companion. Again, no contest. It's Sarah Jane Smith, played by the lovely Elizabeth Sladen, God rest her soul. I like her because she's like, many of you agree that she's more independent. She's a journalist. She can find stories of her own. She doesn't need the Doctor all the time. She doesn't need rescuing all the time. Well, nearly all the time. But she's more independent. She can think for herself. She doesn't scream as much as, you know, like others. And she was played by a wonderful woman, and later in the Sarah Jane Adventures, I was so glad that got created. That really did it for me. And of course, School Reunion. Whew, I couldn't believe that was actually happening. I was like, whoa, Sarah Jane Smith returning to Doctor Who with David Tennant. Oh, it was just unbelievable to see. So that's my favourite companion. Next question is the first story I ever watched. Okay, I'm going to do the first story I ever watched that I can remember, because I don't remember much from like long ago. So my first memory of watching it is The Curse of Fenric. I remember watching that while eating breakfast before school, because my mum thought it might be a bit too scary for me to watch, because she was like that with some stories. They could be a bit too gruesome for me to watch at such a young age, but I watched it, and I don't really remember much, but though I think if I the first story that I ever watched, I could say, is the TV movie. Now, I know the TV movie is not really technically an episode, more like it's a full-length movie, but my mum said that I watched it when I was 3. So I'm just gonna say that because it's like the first thing I like watched from the show, even though it's a movie and not technically an episode. I'm still gonna count that. Favorite series of era? Okay, it was difficult to choose because I have sort of a wide range of favorite stories, as I earlier said, but to me it has to be John Pertwee's last season as the Doctor, when Elizabeth Sladen joins as the new companion, and it will be her first season. It's just cause of the relationship between the Doctor and Sarah. It was just heartwarming for me. I think they just acted great together. They were perfect. And also John Pertwee sort of had a bit of a choice when it came to who was going to play Sarah Jane, and once Elizabeth Sladen turned up, because she wasn't the first woman to be considered for the role, and but she got brought along to meet him one day, and while her back was turned, he put a thumbs up to Barry Letts, saying, "Yep, she's the one." So maybe the stories from that season weren't the best, but still, to me, it's all about the relationship between the Doctor and his companion, which the third Doctor and Sarah Jane tops it for me. Favorite pre and post regeneration story? Okay, this is kind of hard to pick out at first, but my favorite pre-regeneration story is Logopolis, because of the story, the music. The music's brilliant, and you get to see Tom Baker face off with this new master, played by Anthony Ainley, which I think is great. Of course, you get to see the introduction of Tegan, who's my second favourite companion. even with all that bossy shouting and stuff, she's still my second favourite. Yeah, it's just great story and great soundtrack combined. It turns into a ultimate sort of favourite pre-regeneration story. Post-regeneration story, I'm torn between Spearhead from Space and Time in the Rani. I think with Time in the Rani, I think the Doctor didn't really need to recover much. You know, like for example in Castrovalva, the Doctor needed loads of time to sort of recover from his regeneration, but with Time in the Rani he didn't need that much time, which is good for me because I don't really like most of the story being based around the Doctor sort of recovering from his regeneration. You know, he's regenerated, new Doctor. Let's just see what he's like. Not, oh, he's, you know, still ill. His regeneration's fading and all that. No, I don't want any of that. But Spearhead from Space, he does take a bit more time to recover than in Time in the Rani, but still, it's still not that long. But Spearhead from Space, because the Autons were terrifying for me. They still do. I can't, because of them, I'm sort of afraid of dummies in real life. Especially in museums. I can't deal with dummies in museums anymore, thanks to them. May think I'm weird for that, but hey ho. But yeah, and also with Liz Shaw there, and she's very smart, which is a nice change. Yeah, Spearhead from Space and Time in the Rani for me. Yeah, okay, me. Maybe more Spearhead from Space, as I've just realised that mouse screaming all the time, like, oh. But, you know, it was still quite a good story. Like, the plot with the Rani and all them scientists throughout the universe, their minds lodged into one brain to create a manipulator. Yeah, I think that was pretty cool. So yeah, they're my two stories, favorite post regeneration stories. But it's more Spared in Space than Time in the Rani. Right, next question. Your favorite TARDIS interior? Again, there's no contest. My favorite TARDIS has to be the one from 1983 up until 1989, when it first appeared in the Five Doctors. The Doctor gave it a complete makeover. I just love it. It's just like covered in buttons, flashing lights, and it's just the look of it. I just love it. Also the middle bit of the console, you know, flat, sort of flashing lights like that, and goes up and down. Well, it did go up and down anyway, but still, it just looks so epic. It's just, to me, I always love looking at it when I watch stories, you know, with that particular console in. Whether with other consoles, I'm just like, nah, TARDIS. But with this one, my attention is more drawn to that console, so that's why I just love it so much. Last question. My favourite villain or monster? I can't decide between the two, so I'm gonna have to do both. Okay, with my favourite villain, I'm gonna have two favourite villains here because they're equally my favourite. One is the Master, preferably Roger Delgado and Antonioni's Master, because they are my two favourite actors playing the Master, because they don't act over the top like John Sim did. I weren't keen on John Sim, but yeah, Derek Jacobi was good though. Yeah, he was good. Shame he didn't have more sort of screen time, as it were, as the Master. But nah, Roger Delgado and Antonioni both had this sort of, I don't know, they were calm about it, you know. I love their laughs. They, you know, sort of give me a chill up my spine. which I think is great. And my other villain is the Rani, played by Kate O'Mara. God bless her soul. Yeah, because for me, the Rani's just like the master, I think. Yeah, they have different goals. Like, the Rani's more of a scientist than the master is, and you can see her she's always experimenting. And yeah, I mean, it was sort of, with her being a time lady as well, sort of, that added to it, I think. So maybe watch, if you guys haven't watched it already, watch Mark of the Rani, because you actually see the Rani working with the master, Anthony Amy's master. Well, they sort of work together, but the Rani's, not keen on the master, like, oh, I don't need you, go away. But they still sort of work together to sort of change history and destroy the Doctor, as usual. But yeah, I recommend checking that out if you haven't watched it already, if you're curious about them. And also, with Siobhan Redmond being the Rani, she was good as well. If you guys don't know, the Rani came back in a Big Finish audio called the Rani Elite, and it was played by Siobhan Redmond, who turns out is another Scot. So yeah, that story is really good. I think she does a really good interpretation as the Rani. Guile and cunning. She's always up to her old tricks again. But it's sort of fresh. You know what I mean? She's regenerated. She's like sort of a new person, but she's still the same. So I would go and check that out as well, because I do recommend that story. So I think that's it for now. I've answered all my questions. If you have any thoughts and opinions about all these questions, then you can pop them in the comments section. Give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and to continue on the tag, I tag Nightshade videos, my good old friend Jimmy. Yeah, so Nightshade, I tag you. So thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe as well. And I may do another review or whatever, or if you have any requests, then pop them in the comments section as well, and see what happens next. Bye!